Hello, my friend and fellow lightworker, and welcome to this channel. I'm Josephine Hartman, certified intuitive healer and Akashic Records practitioner and teacher. I am so thrilled that you are here today and tuning into this, especially considering the many options that there are out there for things to listen to, things to watch. So the fact that you're choosing to spend this time here together means everything to me. However, you are tuning into this as a video or as a podcast episode, please take a minute if you feel called to hit that subscribe or follow button, to leave a rating or review, to leave a comment, to continue the dialogue and the engagement. I would love to hear from you. And thank you for any of those forms of support that really help me create this free content and that help this podcast and this channel be discovered by new people on the path who might benefit. So, all of that said, today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what might be a controversial topic, maybe a little bit of a controversial topic, but something that felt important to address, just given the historical times that we're in and the advances in technology and AI and ChatGPT and all of these things that we are experiencing as a species, and to kind of talk to you a little bit and brainstorm even about what is the place of the Akashic Records within all of this rise of AI, rise of Chat GPT. Like, what role do the records have to play? Are they connected in any way? So on and so forth. So, kind of thought-provoking questions that I have to be honest, I don't have perfect answers to these questions yet. I myself, just like probably you out there, if you're watching this or listening to this, I myself am getting adjusted and getting used to all of these rapid changes that we are undergoing, as I said, as a species, including all of this AI stuff. And also, I should say, as a disclaimer, just so you know a little bit where I personally am coming from, I just want to say in my personal life, in my business, so professionally, I don't use AI. I don't know how to use it. I may be antiquated. It may be time for me to start learning some of these things or looking into how they could help. But at this point in 2025, I am not using AI. I am not using ChatGPT. I don't know how to use them. Just as a caveat, so you know the context that I'm coming from. So, all of that said, I wanted to bring up this topic because I recently got an email, a really thought-provoking email and question from a listener of this podcast and someone who is in my email community, kind of asking about, is it possible, or one of the questions in this email basically was, is it possible for a tool like ChatGPT to access the Akashic Records or to give someone an Akashic Records reading? And that was a fascinating, mind-bending question for me to consider because I hadn't really fully thought about that and even the implications of a question like that until this point. So I want to share with you a little bit how I've been thinking about this, how I myself am answering this question as of right now. My thinking might evolve, although I do feel pretty strongly about some of these things. So here goes. And as always, this is my humble opinion, which is just one opinion. Take what resonates, leave the rest. And I'm sharing this as someone who has been working with the Akashic Records day in and day out, personally and professionally, for 21 years now. So take what works, leave the rest. So, in order to genuinely connect to what we call the Akashic Records, which is a very particular field of consciousness and energy, in order to genuinely connect to the records, whoever is connecting to them needs to have a soul. There has to be a soul and a heart behind there. So, in my view, a machine or AI program or whatever doesn't have a soul. So, it would never be able to tap into the Akashic field or the records in the way that we are able to as humans. Because remember, we are humans, but we're also divine beings. We have souls. So, in my view, ChatGPT or some of these tools probably are able to imitate what an Akashic Records reading might sound like or could sound like, since there's information about this online, right? So, these tools might imitate or kind of, produce a version of what a reading might sound like. But there's no soul underneath. There's no human essence underneath. Therefore, whatever information is contained in that so-called reading is not coming from the records. It's basically coming from what ChatGPT or whatever the tool might be thinks that you want to hear in response to whatever you're asking. Could ChatGPT function as a sort of coach and provide in-depth answers to some of our questions in day-to-day life? I think yes. I have heard from other people, including people who are very close to me, that ChatGPT has a remarkable ability to be able to do that. So can it help us as a tool, as a sort of coach in your back pocket? I think yes, in a sense, but it absolutely cannot and will never be able to tap into the Akashic Records, into a field of consciousness. Because again, we need to have that soul behind that's driving that whole process. Can ChatGPT function as a therapist or as a sort of Akashic Records practitioner? I think no. I think no. Well, certainly not as an Akashic Records practitioner because of everything I've been saying so far. These machines or tools cannot tap into a field of consciousness the way that we do as humans. Um, but even if we think of ChatGPT as a sort of therapist, my gut reaction to that is I don't think so. I don't think so because there is so much training and life experience and human instinct and intuition and expertise and connection, like connection from heart to heart, from human to human, from soul to soul, that is often really like the key or the central component to a therapeutic or healing relationship and setting. When we have a therapist or we have a healer that we're working with, that human connection and that human relationship that we establish with that professional who is helping us, in my view, from personal experience and professional experience, is like more than 50% what creates the healing, what creates the growth, what helps us heal our old wounds, and even attachment wounds, and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure how far ChatGPT could go without providing that heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul human connection and all of the things, all of the skills, all of the gifts, all of the intuition, all of the training and practice that we bring as practitioners or as readers of the Akashic records. I hope that's making sense to some of you out there. And you can share with me in the comments how you are thinking about this, because there might be something that I'm missing or not, right? But I'm open to hearing other perspectives too. Another way that I was thinking about this the other day for me is that, it's kind of like art. If we think about art and creativity, like, yes, Chat GPT could create a painting, let's say. It could create a piece of art, so to speak. If we programmed it with specific instructions or asked it to do something really specific. But is there a soul? Is there human artistry? Is there a human craft and feeling behind that painting or that piece of art? I don't think there is. It takes the humanity out of the process. And so for me, whatever ChatGPT can create, and I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve and it's going to be really impressive, but whatever it can create kind of pales in comparison to what humans are able to create. And I know you might say, well, humans created ChatGPT in the first place, right? So maybe that's another just testament to human creativity, and to the remarkable power of the human mind. But there is, the way I see it, there is huge value in going through the creative process as a human with all of its ups and downs, all of its messiness, and learning so much along the way of that process. What concerns me a little bit about these tools that are emerging is, are we going to be taking shortcuts that are going to strip away so much from our human experiences, from our human processes, like creativity, like creating something with your own hands and your soul from scratch. Now, of course, I also know that these tools can help us be creative. They can. They can help us be efficient in other ways. Maybe there are ways that I am not familiar with yet, in which they are amazing. So I'm not opposed to using them. I'm not opposed to, let me say, using them in moderation and with a lot of thought and consideration and conscious awareness behind how we're using them, what we're using them for, so on and so forth. Um, and I have heard from even some of my students, some of my Akashic Records students, that they've used things like AI or ChatGPT, for example, to create summaries of the Akashic Records readings that they have to do in one of my programs, or to ask ChatGPT to help them formulate really good questions for the Akashic Records. So I can see the value in using some of these tools to further our own growth and evolution. And still, I don't want us to lose everything that we gain when we go through these human processes of learning and integrating information, or even something like mastering the art of formulating really good questions for the Akashic Records, mastering the skills and the art of becoming an incredible Akashic Records practitioner, who can genuinely co-create transformation with the people that we're here to serve. There's so much that goes into those processes, and we can't, I don't think, take shortcuts. We have to be in those processes. We have to allow them to be messy. And there's so much value and wisdom to be gained when we go through those processes. So these are just some of my emerging thoughts about all of this. As I said, I am open to other perspectives, other ideas. So I would love to hear how you've been thinking about all of this, if you have been thinking about any of this. So please leave a comment below this video. You can also send a message to me at josephinehartman.com, and we'll continue the conversation from there. As always, you can also head over to my website, josephinehartman.com, to further connect with me and explore ways of working together if you feel called. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I also want to send gratitude and big thanks to my community member and podcast listener who sent in these additional questions. I think she'll know who she is when she listens to this. So thank you so much for this thought-provoking topic. And thank you for spending this time with me. Please be well, treat yourself with lots of kindness because you deserve it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.